Hello, and welcome back to Factorio. I am Dorthek, and this is episode 32 of our Factorio 0.17 and 0.18 tutorial walkthrough Let's Play. In the last episode, we designed a large 6-core nuclear power plant, but built just 1 core's worth of it, because that's all the resources we have at the moment. What we had left was to hook up water for it, and to actually start producing nuclear fuel. If you look, you can see that we now have 70 U-235 in the chest, which is more than 40, which is the minimum that we need in order to be willing to do it, because we would like to reserve the last 40 for the Kovarex process. Science is completed, and we are done. We have no more science to work on until we've got either a purple or yellow science built. We will get to that later. So, let us go over here. We have our sorting facility here that separates U-235 and U-238. As we said before, we want to reserve at least 40 for future uses. So we're going to put it off into this separate box here. And that's going to be our reserve. Now, we're going to place both of these back onto a belt. And we're going to do it like so. Better allow more room. Let's do one more set here. And then we can place something like that will work. This leaves a space of 3 for our future beacons. Now, to actually run the nuclear power plant, we need to make these here uranium fuel cells, and they're made in an ordinary assembler. So let's place the assembler here. And we need U-235, U-238, as well as iron. Now, as you can see, it takes quite a bit of uranium, so we'll use one of these guys. And we can output this onto a belt, which is going to go off this way. We also need to bring in iron. We're going to bring in iron over this way, I think. We may change our opinion on that. And we do need a bit of iron, so we'll use one of these. And we've got to get this iron from somewhere. Let's go over here. We have space for a delivery station, so we can deliver iron plates to here. We need a unload station. We want to make sure it's lined up correctly. There we go. Now, we really don't need 4 cars worth. Oh, hey, look at that. We've taken some damage over here from the biters. You can see they've destroyed one of the guns. Now, this is something interesting we've not seen before. Beforehand, when they destroyed a gun, all you had left was a destroyed area. Now you have this health bar turning purple. That means that it's dead. There's no gun there. But it's remembering where it was, so that if we use robots, the robots can just replace it. And while we're at it, we can use robots to reinforce that. Do we have more guns? I think we have a few more. Let's reinforce this spot, since obviously it is vulnerable. It's taking a beating, so we'll put a few more guns there. Now, this is our standard 4-car train, but we don't really need 4 cars. If you look at the recipe, while this does call for 10 iron plates, and the crafting time is 10 seconds, a fuel cell lasts for 200 seconds. So even with all the 6 reactors running, we only need 6 cells every 200 seconds, which means we need 0.03 cells per second. So a single wagon load will last us for a very long time. So what I'm going to do, rather than you do our normal setup here, is I am going to eliminate the back 4 cars. We're only going to use a single car because we can. There's no sense in using that big a train. So we're going to turn the robots back on. It's going to build all this out for us. We're going to name this. This is going to be uranium iron plates in. We're going to set this to iron plates. Oh, I deleted one purple too many. And this can go over that away. So let's bring this out. Gonna make a zigzag here to get us below this level, go to here. Off they've gone to repair things. Let's drop another gun here. Oh, apparently I'm out of guns. Well, we'll get it later. It's gonna be soon time to upgrade our wall anyway. Alright, and we want to bring this in somewhere over here. Now we could have done all this with bots, and as I said, the KOS version of this uses bots, which makes for a little bit more compact layout, and maybe a little simpler, but I think not relying on bots quite yet has some benefit to it. Now, once we've gotten this, once we have our power cells, we need to bring them over. So, we are feeding them into here. And we would feed them into there if we had the reactors here going. And then empty power cells can come back, and we will do something with it. We actually just need to do that because they will always be on the other side of it. Okay. A little spaghetti, but not a big deal. I suppose we could have brought the iron in on this side to avoid this underlap. Literally all of our uranium, except for what's a little bit in here, is on the belt. That's why I wanted to set that aside. I hope we have enough space here for everything we need to do. Well, we'll figure it out. Here comes more sulfuric acid. Always a good thing. Alright, I'm crossing because I can see how slowly that's going down. And let's go back to the mall, or rather to our main stations, and set up an iron output station to bring some iron into here. Alright, here we are. I was meaning to put some a radar there, wasn't I? Oh, how convenient. Thank you, robots. Oop. Blew myself up. That's okay. Alright, let's put in a loading station. All we want from this is the train tracks. And we want it here. Turn robots off. That might be okay. Load station. Sure it's aligned. Yes, that's very tight, but since we're only doing one car, it's not a problem. Now this is not correct. We want a chain signal here and here. Nope. Okay, and we do not want any of these other cars. We do want to bring in this so that we can fuel the locomotive. But we are only going to use a single locomotive because with a single car we really don't need two. However, we do want to bring this across because we're probably going to have another station down there at some point. So, robots on. All the rails are on the train, so I'll get that in a sec. And this is going to come in over here somewhere. We have to go find where. But let's get our train. No train coming, so we're not going to cause a collision. And we need a... Oh, because before we only had one station, it wasn't an issue, but we apparently forgot to put a chain signal. That's important. And we need a rail signal right there. Okay. And we're gonna need our pole there. Okay. So that's our loading station. Let's see. We're gonna bring this in from up here somewhere. We're just gonna steal some from one of these smelters. We don't really have any better way to do it. Let's name this station. This is going to be base iron plates for nuclear out. And I'm calling it iron plates for nuclear because later on we're going to be using bigger trains to move a lot more iron plates, and those are going to be our standard 141 trains, so I don't want to be in a situation where we're accidentally using the wrong train. I need a locomotive, and there are no cars on the train. Okay, I'm gonna go grab some from the mall. I'll see you over there. Okay, here we are. We're gonna grab... Oh, stop, turn off. Always forget to do that, every time. Let's grab some cars. We don't need that many, but we might as well have them on the train. Let's pick up the robots by hand. Just need the one. Alright, and we can set it up over here, as we did before. So this is going to be a single locomotive and a single train car. We're going to filter this to only take iron plates. And we're going to set our recipe: base, iron plates for nuclear out, full cargo, and inactivity, 3 seconds. That's to make sure it's fully fueled. And then we're gonna go to uranium, iron plates in, empty cargo. Let's give it a full stack of fuel, and off it'll go, and it'll sit there because we don't have any iron plates going anywhere. So let's go hook up iron, and I'll meet you over there. So here we are at the bus, and we want to bring a line of iron down there. So we're going to just steal it from the bus. I'm going to come over here, put in a splitter, and then do this as usual. And I'm going to just turn around and drive it right back up the bus. Again, a little messy, but it'll do. And it's gonna have to go through our jumping space because these are reserved for more iron coming in and things like that. Okay. And we want to bring it in right about here. So... oh, we actually already went too far. Nice. Or something. Right, I'm gonna make myself one of these jumpy tools, as we saw before. And turn on robots. And this is the bottom of our bus. Oh, there's something new here that I forgot to talk about. Between the last episodes, I discovered that we were horribly out of copper. So I put down a copper mine, although I only built out maybe a quarter of it. This is an 8 to 4 lane balancer, because once we upgrade to red belts, this can support maybe 5 red belts. So I decided to go with 4, and I'm bringing in this line of copper into this new smelting array, and this red copper line is feeding exclusively to green circuits. We're not doing anything else with it, and that means that I was able to take our previous copper line and put it into the mall. So now we've got basically one full and one kind of half-ish line. This is still not nearly enough copper even for the bus, but we've got, you know, 1 and a bit lines when it's not too heavily loaded. We're gonna definitely need to do more with this, but not right now. So we should be there. And now we can just run this. Right, now I'm going to turn this train off temporarily. They're breaking my... they're really attacking this area hard. Probably because all this uranium mining is generating a lot of pollution over here. Yeah, you can see this is now a major pollution site, which is hitting this nest, these nests, these nests. We're going to need to deal with them fairly soon. But not today. Today we've got copper coming in. Let's grab our train. It's still back here. My train will arrive here, and I will take it over to the uranium area, where we will complete the power station. There we go. Starting to fill this train. Alright, here we are. And while I was up by the mall, I grabbed a few more turrets to get this stuff fixed up. And I also dispatched our iron train to get, wasn't quite full, but I sent it out to get at least some iron. It was 3/4 full. Here comes a big attack. You can see how the turrets are dealing with it, but they are taking a little bit of damage. Alright. Here comes our iron, which is good. Now, this is the spent fuel, and for the moment we're just gonna stick a box in here and put it in a box. We will definitely do something with it later. Oh, no, stop. Don't build all that, we don't need that. Okay, so while we're waiting on that, we still have to hook up water. So we're gonna take this pipe all the way out where we have some beachfront property over here. And let's take it over a little bit more. And I'm out of regular pipe. Fortunately I have some iron, so I can make a few pieces of pipe. And I had one pump. There it is. And of course we missed, so we need to make 2 more pieces of pipe. And there's our water for our boilers. Well, let's go see how it's going over on the other side. Alright, and you can see that with iron inbound, we've got our first couple of fuel cells coming in. In fact, they're stacking up. Tons of them. And this is running. It's using up the fuel cell, and you can see its temperature is climbing. It's at 76 degrees, 77, 78. Not very exciting because this will do absolutely nothing until we can get it up to 500. And you can see the heat exchanger is also coming up in temperature, but the closer we are to the reactor, the warmer it is. So out here, where our heat exchangers are, it's only 20-something degrees. But it'll get there as this comes up. You know what we could do is extend this, move this over here, jump this, and bring in a couple more pieces of heat pipe just to get it flowing a little more directly. Except, of course, we don't have any on us, but that's okay because we can steal some from over here, where we do not need it. There, just to get a little bit better connection. Now, once the cell is used up, the Spent cell will go out and should end up in this box. We're at 130C. I am going to put a cut in here so that we can see what happens when once it gets up to temperature. Okay, and here we go. The reactor is now at 504 Celsius. Now, of course, that's going to take a little bit of time to reach the heat pipes down here. They're only at 453. As it's getting to nightfall, you can see as it's coming up to temperature, the pipes are starting to glow. Getting there. 500. 500, and it's starting to generate steam. You can see in the bottom right corner, it's now generating steam, and the heat exchangers are starting to pick up power. There's that glow. The last one is not quite there yet. 494. There. That one goes. And this one's a few more away, and more of the steam turbines are coming up. And all 7 should start firing once we get this last one to the temperature. And there is quite a bit of heat stored in the system. If we were to turn off the power plant right now, it has to cool down to below 600 before it to below 500 before plant stops producing heat. And also we're storing some steam, so we can see there's a little bit of steam stored in there. There we go. They're all producing now. Nope, this one's 498. That'll start any moment. 499. There we go. 500, and it's fired off. And now these guys are producing. And if we look at power, we can see that we're producing 36 megawatts with the steam engine and 20 megawatts with the steam turbine. Now, there's 2 issues here. Number one, we don't need that much power. We don't need 40 and 40. And number 2, this is still not all the way at 1000 degrees. Now, ideally, we would like to shut off the steam turbines to the steam engines to stop wasting coal. But at peak, if we look at, say, the 1 hour chart, at peak, the steam engines were producing about 65 megawatts. The most we can produce with the reactor right now is 40, so we cannot shut down the steam entirely. Once we get a second reactor in place, we'll be able to easily do that, because remember, a second reactor won't take us to 80, it'll take us to 160, because the neighbor bonus will double the value of each one. So that's probably something we should do real soon now. I may do that between episodes. But in the meanwhile, we have nuclear power. Now, important note here. Our steam engines, if there's no demand for electricity, the steam engines will stop spinning, and the boilers will then stop consuming coal. So there's no loss. The coal is only consumed in as much as it needs to be used. That's true here of the steam turbines. These will only generate as much electricity as needed, but the nuclear reactor is always on if it has fuel cells. If we did not need the power demand, for that matter, if we were to cut this from the grid entirely, we would still be consuming nuclear fuel at the same exact rate that we're consuming it right now. So it is important to monitor that and to add some smart systems to make sure we're not wasting fuel, which we'll do later on. So between episodes, I may well add a second reactor and build the appropriate number of turbines and steam engines, but I want to do one quick thing here. And that's record how much steam we've got. So we've stored about 50k steam. Now each of these can store 25, so we're only storing a little bit because our ratio is pretty close to correct. Okay, so you now know everything you need to know to get up your basic nuclear power setup, produce fuel, nuclear fuel, build the reactor. So why don't you go ahead and try one of these yourselves? And as always, don't forget to save.